Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. My name is Dynamite_41, and everything I say is not financial advice, so please don't take it as such. I just like to speak about Gamestop. Don't take anything I say with a grain of salt, or should you? So, today was Q1 earnings for Gamestop, the year of 2025. Of course, we got the announcement after the stock market closed. And I just want to say a few things. If you doubted GameStop, and if you doubted that they were not going to beat the EPS, earnings per share, I want to let you know that we 3x'd it, or 4x'd it, because they're expecting us to end up with the estimated 4 cents per share. We beat them and actually generated 17 cents per share. So that alone, beating Wall Street 4 quarters in a row with those earnings estimates already brings warmth to my heart, and I'm super excited to talk about it tonight. And yeah, we'll get into it in a moment, but let's go ahead and get going on it. So, first off, let's talk about the net income, if you will. Let me change the screen over here really quick so y'all can see what I'm looking at. There we go. So, net sales for quarter one of 2024, that projected $881.8 million in net sales. We did fall short of that versus this year's net sales for quarter one, which was $732 million. But here's a kicker. So if we zoom in on this right here, right? So yes, we made more in 2024, but we also costed more to actually sell these products. Now, when it came to this year, since we've cut down the cost of running the business by a long shot over the past 4 years, this is a whole trust the process kind of thing. We cut it down to $479.6 million as far as cost of sales go. So now what does that lead us to? We generated more profit this year versus last year's quarter one. And yeah, someone is going to laugh about it and say, oh, y'all only generated about $8 million profit. Yeah, only $8 million. Tell me to go ahead and come up with $8 million somewhere out of thin air. Then let me know and come back. Also, the SG&A, selling, general, and administrative expenses, has been brought down again. That is going back to us cutting out the fat of the company, which means it's going to cost less to actually run the business. And that leads us to an operating loss. Once we add the asset impairments, our operating loss from last year was $50 million. This year, $10.8 million. So that swing, that's about a 60% swing? Is my math incorrect? Correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, no, 40 million dollar swing to the upside. That is awesome. I love to see that. And then if we go to basically input the interest income net and the other income, and then we lead us to the income before the taxes, we lost $35 million in last year's quarter one, which for this year, we generated $48.3 million. Now, of course, we calculated in the income tax benefit. Now that leads us to a whopping $44 million, $44.8 million for this Q1 versus $32.3 lost in last year's Q1. So, tell me this. How does a company of this caliber, like GameStop, the dying brick and mortar company, how does a company of that caliber somehow manage to make those numbers happen? I'm just curious. I just want to know what the opinions are, the negative opinions are about GameStop. I would love to know your bearish thesis. Please leave it in the comment. I'm always open for that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. So, yeah, long story short, net sales weren't that big this year versus last year, but we still generated essentially a swing to the upside as far as us lowering the SG&A costs and trimming out the fat, which means we're increasing our profit margins like never before. Also, the operating loss decreased drastically, and it's a matter of time before we turn that to a positive, aka no operating loss. So we'll see. The future is ahead of us. We have so much to live for, so much to breathe for. Don't even sweat it. I know today's price action made you feel a little underwhelmed about your investment, but my goodness, do not let that price action deter you from buying another share, because I wanted to buy shares whenever that thing was crashing down to $28 in the after hours. I'm like, dude, give me these prices. But you know what? You know what they're going to do? They're just going to bring it back to $29. Because look, whenever we dipped down below after earnings were reported, we went down as far as $28.36, and they brought that sucker back up to the 29s. What are they doing behind our backs? Do they just want to buy at a lower price by $1? Because they know what's going to happen up and to the right, maybe? Who knows? Who freaking knows? But regardless, GameStop's thriving. We are doing well. Don't know why people are trying to paint this out as a mid-tier earnings report. I think this is great. I think this is saying a lot about the progress we're making. We beat EPS, estimated earnings, for Christ's sakes. But yes. And then another thing to include too, the net income. The net income, baby. I think I mentioned that earlier, but it was $44.8 million for this quarter one versus a net loss of $32.3 million. We lost last year in quarter one. We gained this year for quarter one. Hey, listen. And not only that, but GameStop used to have from a year from basically this year in quarter one, we had $1 billion in cash equivalents, and marketable securities. It is 2025. A year later, quarter one, we are now sitting at $6.4 billion at the close of the first quarter. Not only that, but during quarter one, technically May 3rd to June 10th, we have acquired 4,710 Bitcoin. That's just more room for us to grow. And you know what? The cost of running the company has went down so much, we're just going to keep on growing our freaking incomes. And I am just so excited about all of the news today. And the fact that we just got beat down to the ground and price action is crazy. But as expected, for every single earnings report announcement, it never fails. We always dip in the after hours. You know how it goes, but you know what happens after we dip? We usually rip. Now, maybe we can consolidate for a while to the side, maybe for the next couple of weeks, months, who knows? I'm going to be here for it, and I ain't going anywhere. Because $30, $29, $28, wherever GameStop wants to make up its mind at for tonight until we open up the market tomorrow, I'm buying in all those levels because I'm looking at those numbers as a new $20 buying range, as a new $10 buying range. You remember the streams back in the past. We're talking about $10. We're talking about $20. Now we are here sitting at $29.04 in the after hours, talking about it like it was the 20s and the 10s. Because this thing is going to go up again. I don't know when. It's inevitable. The fundamentals of the company are, for some reason, not pricing in. But, that's a story for another time. I feel good about my investment. I have not gotten on Twitter. I have not gotten on Reddit today. At least the later part of my day after I got off of work, basically. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of fun in the next couple of weeks, more than likely, as the price goes up. That's my estimate, at least. And yeah, they're just going to throw everything they can at you to sell your shares so they can buy it at a cheaper value. You got to keep in mind that big institutions have been loading up on GameStop shares more than ever before. I want y'all to keep that in mind, because that's not us. That's big institutions. What do they know? They have more resources than we do as retail investors, and that's fine. Fair game, I guess, because the game was never fair to begin with. But with our resources, we probably have as much, if not more than they do, on GameStop alone. So maybe they know something that we already know. I think they're just catching on a little later than we are. But that's alright. It's never too late. It's never too late to invest. I always like to tell my people that. Even my younger crowd. Damn, I feel old. Anyways, I feel good. Best investment of my life. Shout out to the board of directors of GameStop. Shout out to Ryan Cohen for making shit happen. Shout out to Roaring Kitty for being one of the biggest investors. Shout out to y'all for being one of the biggest investors in one of the best retailing companies I've ever seen in my life that people want to doubt on. Call it the next Blockbuster, the next, what's that electronic store, whatever it's called, Circuit City. The next, all of those. No. It is not the next any of those. GameStop is GameStop. And GameStop is here to stay. Quarter 1 told me everything I need to know. I'm looking forward to quarter 2 because the Nintendo Switch 2 killed it. Absolutely flew out the ballpark. And we're just going to make more profits. And people are going to keep on hating on it. And the price action for GameStop on the stock market is going to keep going up. And they're going to be wondering, oh, why is this going up? This is a failing company. It's because you haven't watched me or Marantz or Carter or Beemore talk about GameStop. But for you GameStop investors out there, you're going to sleep good tonight knowing that you're in the best investment. Even with the dip after hours, I'm sleeping good as fuck tonight. I'm actually going for a run after this video. So that's pretty much that with my GameStop shirt on because I got a rep. So there's that. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And until the next quarter, which will be quarter 2, that'll be in the fall, of course, for the announcement. We're going to be here. And we're going to talk about it. And maybe we're going to be at higher price levels than we are now. Just keep that in mind. This is long term, baby. When in doubt, zoom out. It's GameStop. Peace.